Rise is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Brighton Cott.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a bright morning. It's a bit sunny.
It is, and warm already too.
Right. Especially after the showers that we've been experiencing over the weekend, the scattered showers over the country.
Yeah.
It's definitely good to wake up and see the sun.
That's right. That's right. Of course, it is another beautiful day here in Belize, Thursday morning, and there's quite a bit happening today. A very historic event is going to be happening.
Absolutely. It's the Governor General who will be installed today, Ms. Froila Salam, and we're looking forward to the event today, and we hope that everything goes as planned.
Of course, she will be the third Governor General in Belize, and that ceremony takes place today. So it's a part of history that you can tune into and be able to see it take place firsthand. We're looking forward to that. And that takes place at 9:30 today at the House of Culture. I'm really interested to see how the cultural element will be integrated.
Certainly. Definitely seeing more inclusiveness of indigenous peoples into this particular post is something that I look forward to see going forward. How is it that she navigates her duties and responsibilities?
Of course. So that's one thing that's happening. The other is that the strike continues.
Yeah.
It is really hard to imagine, and I think especially because we're not seeing people on the streets, but there is still an ongoing strike between the unions, and that includes all unions, the APSSM, which is the Public Service Senior Managers, the Public Service Union, and the Belize National Teachers Union.
Right, and they have been continuing their strike for the past 20 plus days, and now we're actually hearing that they went back to membership on Sunday, I believe it was, and they decided that they want to continue with the strike action.
Yeah.
And they are going to be responding to the Prime Minister's response that was given to them, and so we're looking forward to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, and the clock is ticking. What we know for sure is that public service unions, or public servants, I should say, government workers, will have their salary docked for the days they've been on strike after May 14th. That would include teachers who work at government schools. Those who don't work at government schools, it's a bit different. It's a situation where the managing authorities, whether it's the Anglican diocese or the Catholic Church or whatever denomination heads up that school, that they would be the ones to then decide whether the teachers who work at their schools would have their salary docked. We haven't gotten indications as yet as to whether that's going to happen, but we do know that when it comes to the government teachers, because they are employed by the government, they'll see their salaries deducted. It'll be interesting to see what impact that has and what the next move is. Yeah. All right, well, we got to get moving into our show for today, and we'll go into some motivation to get you started, which means it's time for our Eye Opener. And our Eye Opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. When fate brings old friends back into our lives, there is always a reason. Every person that passes through our lives makes a contribution to our life stories. There are those who play large roles and make deep impressions, but sometimes a brief special appearance before life takes them in another direction creates a meaningful connection. When fate brings old friends back into our lives, there is always a reason. They may act as messengers, reminding us of a part of ourselves we have forgotten to nurture. They might appear to give us a chance to react in a new way to an old situation. If this hasn't happened to you, maybe you were meant to initiate contact by seeking out old friends. If old friends come to mind or into your dreams, use their appearance as an excuse to get in touch. If an old song or movie reminds you of them, reach out to share the gift of renewed contact. Wherever you fall in the circle of connection and reconnection, be sure to look beyond the surprise of the moment to enjoy the deeper gift that this revelation brings.
Amazing. And Marlene,
Clearly.
I actually have a story, and it's a very interesting one. And it's one that I don't often share, but I cherish it so much because of the impact it had on me. And that's when I was in first form. I had a math teacher, and it was in the second semester, I believe, that she left to take on another job. And she gave me my last 2 demerits. And I went on a suspension.
Last 2. Whoa, okay, I was going to say of how many, but you went on suspension.
I went on a suspension, and the funny thing is that she said, Brighton, you're the last student that I'm giving demerits to, and I just gotta do it. And she gave me the suspension. And at that time, I was a bit sad because I was going to serve in the schoolyard and clean up and do stuff like that. But fast forward 10 years later, I was graduating from Galen University, and my first job was at the Belize Biodiversity Finance Initiative, and I was her colleague. And so it was really nice to see that 10 years forward, she came back and she was like, I'm so proud of you, and I'm also glad that I gave you those 2 demerits because I think it kind of set you on the right track.
Well, you know, all of us are just stuck at wondering why you got the demerits, right? Are we going to find out?
Do your homework.
Yeah, well, you know, I was thinking when I read it more of chance encounters, and you know, I chuckled a bit when it said, you know, if it hasn't happened to you, because as I started reading it, I'm just thinking, when was the last time I had a chance encounter with someone, you know, that would be considered a reconnection? It's, you know, my mind isn't as fresh at this hour, but I can't recall. But when it talks about making contact because maybe someone flashed through your mind, or maybe something happened that reminded you of that person. You know, you take the moment, you think of a memory, but you never actually get in touch with them. And that in itself, I think, is such a beautiful thing to start your day, especially for people who've in any way been a good impact, a positive impact for you. Not necessarily a positive experience, but a positive impact. And we don't take the time to acknowledge their impact as often. We're just, we're not really that much of the touchy-feely people who say, oh, you know, you were so helpful at this time, you were really, whatever it is that they did for you, we don't really acknowledge it as much. And so I thought that was the beautiful part of the eye-opener, just reminding us that when someone does come into your mind, when you want to say, hey, you know, we had some great memories, then feel comfortable to do that.
And even the not so
great... That's a challenge in itself, but
and even the not so great memories, those are some of the long-lasting ones that we think about, and these sometimes do have very positive and rippling impacts on our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's our eye-opener for this morning. Okay, we're going to get moving into our weather update for today to find out what we can expect. We got Angelia Guy on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
Not too bad. Seems like it's going to be a steamy day today.
Yeah, we have good weather now compared to the last few days.
So go ahead and tell us, what can we expect?
Okay, we expect mainly fair weather to prevail with only isolated showers developing. So we expect relatively warm temperatures across the country.
All right.
What's our 24-hour forecast looking like?
Okay, we expect skies to be sunny with a few cloudy spells during the day and then partly cloudy at night with isolated showers developing.
What's our marine conditions going to look like today?
Okay, winds will be generally from the east at about 5 to 15 knots, and the sea state will be choppy.
And our temperature highs and lows?
Temperatures will peak at about 88 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 94 inland, and 80 in the hills.
And our lows for tonight?
The lowest tonight will range from 80 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 74 inland, and 66 in the hills.
And what's the outlook that we could expect?
Okay, for tomorrow and the next, into the weekend, I expect mainly fair weather with only isolated showers developing.
Are there any advisories, watches, or warnings?
Not at this time, no.
Awesome. And what are some of our astronomical conditions in terms of tides?
Okay, we expect a high tide at about 4 minutes to 10 this morning and then a low tide at 5:30 this evening.
Awesome. Thank you, Angelica, for updating us on our weather for the day. And we look forward to enjoying the sun.
Sure, you're welcome.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Too.
There you go. Sunny.
Sunny weather.
We'll welcome that.
Much needed vitamin D after the scattered showers over the week.
It wasn't that much rain. I'm comfortable with like a shower here or there because it doesn't become too disruptive.
Well, for the weekend, I actually went to Cayo, so it was very, very rainy that side.
Did it rain more?
It did, it did. Especially in the Pine Ridge area. It was so rainy. And
That's good. You get to trudge through some mud. That's an adventure in itself.
yeah, I got stuck and I had to walk about 2 hours to get service to call for help.
See, those are the people you can call back years from now and say, remember that time in Pine Ridge? All right, but we got to get moving into our show for today. And our first conversation, in fact, is going to be about the weather. But this is, of course, the critical conversation where we start to talk about preparations and expectations for the upcoming hurricane season. We must say that this is the time, in fact, we probably should have started before, but there still is time to prepare for the upcoming hurricane season. The last thing you want to do is to be scrambling last minute. We spoke with Red Cross about putting together the emergency or disaster packages. As you approach the end of the month, you know, that's one of the things you want to take into consideration, start putting some stuff aside. But today we'll have the National NEMO coordinator and the chief meteorologist talking to us about the upcoming hurricane season and what we can expect.
And then for the second part of our show this morning, we're going to be speaking with the consular chief from the U.S. Embassy Belize about the services that are reopening considering the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the restrictions that that was placed on these services. So we're going to be diving into some of the services that is going to be reopened for American citizens as well as Belizean citizens.
All right. And for our final segment, we're going to be joined by St. John's Credit Union to talk about their upcoming promotions. So that's going to be our final conversation. We're going to go ahead and take a break. But before we do,
we have a birthday shout out and we say happy birthday to Ashley Ovado. We hope that you have a good one, stay blessed, and enjoy your day to the max.
all right. And with that, we're going to take that break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the upcoming hurricane season. Please stay tuned.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Es un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
Why, Tony?
Why, Keith, where you going, man?
We actually come see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing that thing since April 15th, you know. And I just routed the last batch, must have been like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? Where you going?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Andrea Polanco, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes. Go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
Welcome back.
And we move into our first discussion this morning with NEMO and Met Service as we walk through preparations for this hurricane season. Good morning. We have with us Shelton DeFore from the who is the National NEMO Coordinator, and Ronald Gordon, the Chief Meteorologist at the National Met Service. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you for being here this morning.
Good morning and thank you for having us. Good morning, Belize. It's our pleasure and duty to inform you, to get you ready for the hurricane season, as we normally do.
Good morning, good morning. Also a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. And I want to jump straight into the conversation this morning. We have already seen that there is the development of a tropical storm Arthur last week. Explain to us what this means for the hurricane season. Are we going to be having an active hurricane season? Is this an indicator?
Hi, good morning. I guess I take the lead here. Just a slight correction, it was Tropical Storm Anna. Tropical Storm Anna that formed near Bermuda over the weekend. We typically see those systems developing, so tropical systems developing before the start of the season. I believe it's about 5 or 6 consecutive years that we've had a storm forming before the start of the official start of the hurricane season, I must say. It does not necessarily mean an active season, because we've had seasons where systems develop before the start of the season and it doesn't turn out to be active. However, putting that aside, the forecast is for there to be an active hurricane season this year, an above normal season.
Awesome.
Let's talk about that. So the forecast is made earlier in the year, looking at what the weather conditions seem to dictate for the Atlantic hurricane season. And the early projections were that we would have an above normal season. As the head of NEMO, and of course as the chief Met, you guys work together along with other entities in the planning for the hurricane season. Knowing it's going to be above normal, what type of preparations have taken place already?
Well, I think I would like to lead off here to say that one of the main preparations for NEMO, and Chief Met can come in terms of his area of preparations, and it is that of inspecting the shelters. So it's one of the biggest concern and state of readiness action that NEMO has to take. Look at places where people will stay to protect them in times of, threats from hurricanes and other hazards. So since January, that has been undergoing, and we are finalizing the list this week with the National Committee. It's a process, and once that list is clean and acceptable, then it will be made public. Besides that, we do things like meetings. Now, this is the important aspect of NEMO, where you have the leadership, the ministers of government or ARFs who are appointed as chairpersons to chair the district emergency committees, and the CEOs who are the chairpersons for the national committees. What we are seeing, which is a very good sign, because most of the committees, by this week, every committee would have met, and some would have met twice. And that is unprecedented. I even got a comment from someone who said, it seems like NEMO is definitely on a good footing for this hurricane season, as far as leadership is concerned. Yeah. And that is key, because it starts at the top. And so for us, the meetings, the shelter inspection, including training, public outreach, educational sessions with communities that are at risk. And I could speak about other things as we go on, but those are two of the key things I wanted to make mention of, the inspection of the buildings that people will be going into for protect their lives, and the leadership of the NEMO system, moving full steam ahead, getting ready, getting organized, understanding their roles and responsibility, and that is key in any national emergency management system.
On the issue of shelters, last year there was a need to identify additional shelters because of the fact that we are in a pandemic, and social distancing is a crucial factor even in an emergency. Tell us about the identification of new shelters and how we're planning for our COVID realities.
Fortunately, shelters being used are schools and churches and community centers. And insofar as schools and churches, quite a few additional buildings have been identified, which were recently built. So the shelter list in terms of the number of buildings have increased. However, we have lost space because we reduced the space from 30 to 10, whereby in a normal classroom, 30 by 30, with the layout that we have per person or per family, we'd have gotten about 30 persons quite safely in a regular classroom before COVID. Now with COVID, it's down to 10. So that is one of the challenges. And what we do in that regards is to identify private buildings, large buildings that can be used as backup shelter. And so that is one of the exercises that we are participating in to continuously identify those buildings. Just last night, we had a meeting with Honorable Kevin Bernard, the Orinjo Arc Emergency Committee met, and the Mayor has pledged to provide assistance in that regards, knowing the town, and all the buildings in the town, to assist the NEMO office to identify those buildings that people would volunteer, support NEMO with, that can be used as additional space. Yes. In terms of the protocol, the Ministry of Health is currently reviewing the protocols, but since last year, working with the Ministry of Health, we had to put together protocols that were necessary, and those protocols were used during Hurricane Nana. If you noted, people went into shelters, there was no spike in numbers, and so it showed that Belizeans really do listen and adhere to NEMO and do follow the protocols as required. So now we have protocols for evacuation, from the quays when you board the vessel. There are certain protocols that will be in place when you board the buses when you land in Belize City or arrive in Belize City. There will be certain protocols for those buses, and when you arrive at the shelter, we have protocols in place in line with the Ministry of Health, where people will be screened and checked out, and you have to have hand washing stations. We have bought some hand pump or spray pumps to spray down, sanitize the building and things like that. So we will be enforcing those protocols, and we will be sharing what we have with the Ministry of Health. The CEO caucus brief that we had yesterday with all the CEOs and CAPSEC, the CEO from the Ministry of Health, I'll wait after this session, I'll be sending it to her, and then they'll go through it with what they have and to strengthen it so that it's better in terms of relevance for this hurricane season. So we're doing work in that regards, and we have something documented already that we could use if we have to use it today, which worked last year in terms of Hurricane Nana.
That leads me to ask the question, will there be a push from NEMO to ask families to be vaccinated prior to utilizing shelters?
We can be a strong advocate for that, because you could see the benefit of it, in terms of the more people are vaccinated, it means you have more shelter space. So it's a win-win for everyone. So yes, in our messaging, it will be that we urge people to get vaccinated, especially when you look at the potential for a large-scale disaster like a Category 4 or 5 hurricane, making landfall in Belize City or Danbriga. And so then you need all your shelter space. Well, in that case, though, we'll be evacuating people then to the to the interior of the country. And so if we bring people further inland to Belmopan and Cayo, and we are now using up all the shelters and it's getting overcrowded, if people are vaccinated, that reduces the risk of potential spread. So definitely the message from NEMO is that we need to go and get vaccinated, because it has some very good benefits for everybody in times of disaster.
Now, Ronald, let's talk about the predictions for this year. We have talked so much about the new normal with COVID, but there's a new normal for the hurricane season. When we look at what is considered the normal season and what we have been experiencing within recent years, put it into perspective for us.
Yes, Marlene, you're certainly correct. We typically average in climate. We do an average, a 30-year average, and consider that to be our normal. So, and that average changes every decade. So, over the past 10 years, previous 10 years, we were using the 1981 to 2010 period as our baseline or average. Since we have moved from 2020 to 2021, and we now have data up to 2020, we are now using the period from 1991 to 2020 as our baseline. Our previous average over the past 30 years, the previous climatology was for there to be 12 named storms within the Atlantic Basin every year. That was the normal. Now, since the period from 1991 to 2020 has been more active, you could expect that that normal would increase. So now the normal is for there to be 14 named storms within the Atlantic Basin. And of those 14, 18 normally becomes hurricane and 3 major hurricanes. Interestingly, the category of major hurricanes has not changed. That remains at 3. So when we say above normal season now, residents need to take into consideration that the normal is higher. So it is an even more active season than last year, or not say last year, but what you have in your mind as normal is higher now. So therefore, when we say active, it's actually really active. That's
above
really
normal.
important.
Above normal is what range now?
Above normal would be anything above 14 named storms.
Okay.
Previously, it was above 12 named storms per season.
There are some things that the experience over the past few years have taught us. One is that we have seen extremely powerful storms. I think the last few Category 5s, there was all the talk about increasing the categories because it exceeded the maximum wind speed. And also, how quickly they form, the rapid formation that they have. How much is that something that is considered an anomaly in how we are looking forward with the season, or is this the new expectation when it comes to major storms?
Yes, we have noted indeed that those systems that intensify rapidly have increased, so to speak. In terms of that being the new normal, the models, the predictions, or let's say the climate change scenarios do indicate that in general, we can expect more powerful systems. And we should expect also that those rapid intensifying systems will be more frequent. And that's an interesting scenario because the models do not forecast an increase in the amount of tropical storms per se, but they do show that those that do form will tend to be more powerful and stronger. So yes, we can look forward to more Category 5 storms in the future, especially due to the changing climate that we are living in.
I don't know if I'd say look forward, though. We can continue to dread.
Yes, certainly. I guess my choice of words there was a bit off.
I just joke, that's all.
Because of the frequency of the early start of the hurricane season over the past 2 decades, is there any conversation around changing the time period from June to November to even earlier than that time period?
There has been discussion about that. What has materialized, however, is that what was decided is that we keep it from June to November for now. But the official agency within the region, the regional Hurricane Center, which is the National Hurricane Center in the United States, what they have done is gone ahead and started to issue their tropical weather outlook from the 15th of May, because of the same reasons that we are seeing storms developing before the June 1st date. So they have started issuing the tropical weather outlook 15 days earlier, which is at the 15th of May. And the discussion continues on whether we expand the hurricane season to start from probably earlier in May, the 15th of May. And the Eastern Pacific hurricane season already starts officially from the 15th of May. So that's something that we must also take note of.
Yeah. Now let's look at some of the needs that we have had in the past. And one is definitely getting out the messaging to people, when to evacuate, and having them follow through. Time and time again, when we face the threat of a storm, I know there are NEMO representatives who are pleading with people to evacuate. That's one thing. But before we get there, let's talk about our capabilities to track storms. The Doppler had been down for a significant amount of time. Have we gotten it restored for now? And what impact does that have on our tracking capabilities?
The Doppler radar, we have done tremendous work on getting it restored. A lot of investment, several expensive components have been repaired, replaced, and we had it working for about a week in early May. Unfortunately, we had a power outage, and it created a bit of problem for us in terms of our, the system. We consider for now that it is minor, and the system will be back online very soon. Okay. In terms of that radar for tracking storms, it is not, let's put it in perspective. The radar is useful when a storm is very near the coast of Belize for us to pinpoint the exact center of the storm. And it is also very useful for not only us, but also the forecasting, the international forecasting agencies, as I mentioned, the National Hurricane Center. Yeah. They actually ask us for those imagery to help them pinpoint the center of the storm when it's near shore. However, for tracking systems across the Caribbean and of course the Atlantic, the radar is not useful because at that point, the radar, the storm is not on a radar, literally. Okay. It is out of range, right? The radar has a 400-kilometer range at the maximum. So it is not useful for tracking systems all across the Caribbean coming towards us. We use satellite imagery, computer models, and of course the hurricane hunters that fly into these systems and pinpoint the center as well. Yeah. As I do mention, we had a very busy season last year, and we survived without the radar, and we will do so again even if the radar doesn't come online. We have several assets at our disposal that we can use. We have our automatic weather stations, we have satellite imagery, we have computer models, we have the assistance of the hurricane hunters to pinpoint the center. So we will survive without the radar, but I want to mention, and I do not like when I hear them people saying that I'm saying we don't need the radar. That's absolutely not true. I categorically deny that sort of statement. We want the radar. We certainly are making a lot of effort to get that radar online, but we can survive without the radar, and we will do so if it needs be.
Okay. Well, yeah, that definitely puts it into perspective. We hope it gets, you're able to get it restored before we have any possible threat of a storm.
I want to bring Sheldon back into the conversation and ask about the level of coordination that's been present between NEMO, the Met Service, and other important partners, such as the birth ambulance service, such as the medical services. What has the level of coordination been like?
The level of coordination with the Met Department, in particular with the Chief Met, we are literally brothers, you know? So in terms of coordination and communication, I am in constant communication with the Chief Met. For every potential weather scenario, whether it's excessive rainfall, which could lead to flash flooding, I will be notified by the Chief Met, and that information also goes to the Minister and the CEO and shared within the NEMO department. We don't share everything publicly because a lot of it in terms of excessive rainfall would be, you know, in the weather report, and we don't want to create unnecessary panic and things like that. But the communication and coordination with the Met department has been very good, and we have maintained that over the years. So that isn't an issue. In terms of BERT is more at the city level, if you wish, where the coordination is with the medical subcommittee for the Belize City Emergency Committee, which is known as CEMO, you know, if you refer to as CEMO. So that coordination is more seen at that level. And then with the medical, in terms of the Ministry of Health, we have the liaison officers for the national committees, in case of Ms. Sanchez or Mr. John Bowden, or Dr. Sabido, who would liaise with us on a regular basis to attend meetings and to deal with whatever issues, you know. And yesterday we had the engagement with the CEO for the Ministry of Health. So that kind of collaboration and coordination, you know, it's relatively good. We are improving in terms of working more closer with the Red Cross, as an example, which is one of the stronger allies of NEMO in terms of on the ground, you know, support and assistance, you know. So the coordination is good, but it can be better. And as we go into the season, we'll see it improving. We're building on gains, you know. We have been doing this for some years, so we have the network, and therefore the coordination isn't a challenge. I would say more timely passage of information, you know, and decision making is something that we want to improve on.
And I'm glad you mentioned that point, because you're right. There are certain things that we come to expect whenever there is the threat of a storm. And one of the things that always happens is the fight against misinformation. And man, haven't we learned about the impact of that in COVID so far. How have you worked on improving the communication system in ensuring that people have the relevant and accurate data as to what to expect when we do enter into an emergency phase?
Well, the main thing we do is advocate that the official weather bulletin and advisory coming from the Met and NEMO in particular is the official source of the information that they need to pay attention to. And so the media houses, which is a big part of that component in educating and alerting and warning the public, we are improving our relationship. Just yesterday we had a session with the various media houses going through some of the terminologies and some of the state of readiness action, you know, that we are undertaking, and the kind of coordination and collaboration, you know, we need from them to be able to do better messaging. But the ministry has embarked on a program of public education, excuse me, and awareness to have a sustained approach, continuous engagement with the public to ensure that information is continuously shared with the public. We have our website which we upload information, which obviously all the time I go to it, I say I want to see more and better information, so we'll be improving that. We have our Facebook page, the Government of Belize press office page, which puts out the official information and documentation in terms of what we want the public to know. So we have the means of making contact with the public. Yesterday I was reminded that we do have, and we had used it long ago, telephone companies to put out text messages to warn or inform people of certain actions. We are wary of sometimes the timing with some of those, because everyone do not get the text message at the same time. Okay. So we can maybe do it for certain messages and not for some, because you don't want people to act in the afternoon when you send the message early in the morning, but they are getting the message in the afternoon and then they don't have time to act. Yeah. So we are very cognizant of that.
That's interesting. I didn't think of that. Let's talk about other challenges that have been identified that you are trying to work to improve upon.
Well, we have 3 challenges, because we are a very focused system in terms of NEMA, and we know that it's not an easy task at hand in terms of responding to disasters, but we have done it before and we can do it better every time we do it. And one of the challenges, as I mentioned earlier, is that of shelters. Shelters will be a challenge, and so we are working around the clock to make sure we can improve in this area as much as possible. The next area is personnel, and it's not across the country, so it doesn't mean that because it's a challenge for NEMA and I'm representing NEMA headquarters, that in some other parts of the country it's a challenge. But personnel, in terms of notifying public officers, getting them, and not all, because we have very good public officers, and I have to plug here a big commendation to the public officers for ETA and IOTA and work that they did during COVID-19, after Hurricane Nana, and just after and during a general election. So the public officers must be commended big time, including the NEMA department staff. However, the coordination in terms of early messaging, getting them to notice the information quickly, letting them know in writing in advance, that they must be prepared for shelter management duties, as an example, that is improving with the Ministry of the Public Service, which is responsible for Human Resource Committee. So that area does remain a challenge, because public officers want to come out knowing that their homes will be safe, their families will be safe, that they have the right tools to get the job done. So we are constantly improving in those areas, but that is one of our challenges. Okay. Calling out people at a particular time, saying report to shelters, the pre-arrangement coordination is very important for that to work smoothly. So that is one area we are working on, and we will continue to work on it, because you're dealing with the human element, with people.
Yes.
And so you have varying response, various different attitudes, so to speak.
On that point, before we move forward with the other 2 challenges, do you foresee any impact? There is an ongoing strike. If strike action continues with the Public Service Union, let's say there's a threat of a storm, God forbid, in the next few weeks or next week, do you foresee that would be a challenge?
Not at this time. The public officers have a strong sense of duty in terms of recognizing when they need to put their shoulders to the wheel to help the people, who are poor, marginalized, who are mostly affected by disasters, and they will come forward, they will show up and they will do the work, because they understand that it's a time of emergency, and I have confidence, and I know that they will come out and they will support. And if that is not the case, then obviously as an emergency management agency, we have to have our plan B and plan C if necessary. But I have confidence the public officers will show.
All right. The other 2 challenges then?
Well, it's 3. The first one was the shelters, the second is personnel, and the third one is transportation. NEMA is very mobile. Everything we do is about transportation. besides communication, of course, the transportation element or issue is that of always needing vehicles, especially in the districts, in the rural communities, and we are working on getting the vehicle care unit in advance notified of the vehicle requirements, and getting the commitment pledges from CEOs, in a way yesterday to say, the support will be there, but with certain arrangement, because vehicles have a cost and they're needed for the government to do its work. So if you take it away for a particular time to do NEMO work, then it has to be with some strict policies and conditions. And so vehicles is always a challenge because you have to change over the public officers. You need to deliver food, you do search and rescue, you're doing damage assessment, and everything is mobile. So when the committees are activated, for them to be functional and effective right through to the end, transportation support is key. So that is something that we have flagged, and we are coordinating and working on ways to improving that.
What are some of the recommendations for families to be prepared for this hurricane season in light of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Good point. Now the strength of NEMO and any system, any social system, is the family unit. The family is the building block. So if the families get it right and take action and listen to the advisories and listen to sessions like these and participate in meetings and various preparedness activities that we undertake, and have an emergency family plan, that is a good start. And the plan isn't a book, one page with 5, 6, 7 action points on it, what needs to be done, and family have to, and we know of the hardship the country is going through. We are not divorced from not recognizing 70,000 people or so are out of a job, but a category 2 or hopefully not a 3 or any other, but a hurricane will not say, well, because Belize is in that state economically, we're not going to come to your shores. So the harsh reality is we must be prepared, as tough as it may be for some people, and this is where the community comes together. But the family need to look at their family plan. Where are you going to shelter? You must save your life. If your home is not safe and you know it's not safe and will not survive, evacuate, relocate, move early. You need to secure your documents. You see the challenges with people when they try to get documents that either burnt up in a fire or last due to flooding, etc. It's a very expensive feature, so secure your documents. If you have challenged persons, have a plan. Know the number, who to contact, who to call to ensure that those persons could be assisted to get to safety. Water will be a big need. Identify, the needs for the family in terms of water. You go to the shelter, NEMO, the government of Belize will be providing some feeding to allow you to survive and cook for the day. Not, steak and lobster, nothing fancy, right? But just survival. We live through today, we survive, and we could go on tomorrow. That kind of condition and mindset I think we need to have. Yes, we have to be cognizant of pregnant women and children and the elderly in terms of what they would get to eat, So the nutritionists in the Ministry of Health reminded us of that and made some amendments to our emergency food pack. And so other things like trimming trees, digging drains, clearing the drains, in front of your home and things like that. 0800 BL care. If you see trees growing into power lines, etc., it will be a secondary hazard. A call could be made to be able to deal with those matters. Securing your roof. Yesterday we showed the media, and we should have it on our website. I will double check. But it takes sometimes a hurricane strap or clip for less than $2 in a hardware store to anchor your roof. If you have to evacuate and your roof is anchored and it stays intact when you get back, or even if it's slightly damaged, you have your place where you can cope and survive.
Yeah.
But if you lose your roof, you're displaced because you have to remain in the shelter until that roof is repaired. So for small amount of investment, you could secure your roof. So that is one of the big things we are promoting and advocating, every year and for this hurricane season.
Yeah, That's a very important point. We also hear distress calls oftentimes in the passage of a storm where people say their roof flew off and they have to move then because of the threat that poses. So you're saying it's a very cheap or a very affordable investment that you can make to strap down your roof.
Exactly. I went around the 4 districts that were affected after Hurricane Earl, and we were in Belize City for 6 months, and I could tell you there are homes in Northside, massive investment, $200,000-300,000, maybe up to $400,000, and the entire roof is blown off. And so it's telling us that the contracting work, the supervision of works, the standard of works, the codes that should be adhered to by builders and contractors is not being done. So we need to emphasize that, let's look at the construction techniques that will keep structures intact and make sure we are meeting those standards beside other requirements as demanded by the Central Building Authority. And so keeping your home, your roof, your windows, doors secure and intact is a big win for you when you return, because then you have, as I said earlier, a place to survive and continue your life, So indeed, it's very important.
As that image pops up, I think that's an important point to talk about. We have learned the hard way about flood surges and about surge and how it can affect and rapidly put you at risk when there is the passage of a storm, whether it's coming directly at you or you're above or below the storm. The challenge we have every time, and I know it's behavior change, which is a lot more work to be able to correct. But the challenge you have is how seriously people take the storm. People, they sit and wait and they watch the weather reports and they say, oh, it looks like it's going to be up more towards Corozal or down more towards Dangrigga. And they try to wait it out at home. How do we get the right message to people that if you're asked to evacuate, that you just do it?
That's a good one. That is, as you said, human nature, the way people think. All of us are Belizean. Sometimes we don't feel the rain or the wind blowing. On us, we don't think it's happening or it's going to come. We're always hoping, well, I don't think it will be that bad. It might be for another area. And so we are built on this last minute mentality that, well, this thing looks serious now. We need to move because it's coming, like Hurricane Mitch. The generation which didn't experience Hurricane Mitch wouldn't have that shock effect, so to speak, to understand that when a major storm is heading our way, you need to move. You need to get out of harm's way. If you look at the breakdown of the elements of a system, you're talking about wind. So if your structure is not strong, you will lose your building, your roof cover, you'll be exposed and you could be hurt or killed. So you need to move. The next element is storm surge, as you alluded to. Most people historically from the old records died from drowning due to storm surge. And so if you're at the coastline at 0 meter at sea level, then you have to move. Because if the storm surge will be 8 feet, for example, and we know Belize City is at, sea level and in some areas a little below sea level, and you live in a bungalow house, which is made of wood, you need to evacuate.
Yeah.
The logic is you must get out of harm's way. That is one of the ways we save lives. So we will impressing that on people. And then the next element is rain. Now rain could be ahead of that system causing flooding, which would be, complicated by storm surge. So you have double threat from the water elements related to the hazard in terms of hurricane as we're discussing. So again, people need to move because the road network, the highways, the streets that you need to come out from could be flooded. So you're trapped even before the storm or the tropical cyclone makes landfall. So once NEMO gives the advisory to move, people need to move. Especially farmers, especially people in the rural areas. If it's flooding in Cayo and it's, let's say, Sunday, and Cayo is experiencing flooding, the Mopan, Macao, breaking its banks, flooding. That water will reach in the Belize River Valley, the lower reaches of the River Valley, within 6 to 8 days. We plan for about 7 days. So if you have crops in the field, subsistence farming, you have livestock in the field, you know you need to start to move your animals and start to, you know, reap what you can reap. And we impress on people with that, you know, at the 11th hour when the water is, you know, way high, we're trying to put cattle and sheep in boats and tie the cattle beside the boat and steam, you know, move with it to higher ground. You know, that is unnecessary, you know, because we are aware and we know that the threat of the flooding is coming. So farmers, if you're listening, people in the rural community, not the ones who adhere, those who don't adhere, this message is for you to make sure you move and take action.
It's critically important to take all of these into consideration, the wind, the rain, and everything that comes with the hurricane season, because our life depends on it. I want to bring back the conversation to the environmental side and get Mr. Gordon's take on how much climate change and the warming up of our waters and the Earth's surface has impacted the hurricane activity within our region.
Okay, thanks. Very good question indeed, and I will address it. But before I do that, it's a good remiss of me not to make some point regarding the previous conversations, especially when it comes to the misinformation out there. And I do this because I think it's very important, especially when it comes to getting the public's confidence that when NEMO and the service says it's time to move, you move. The reason why people may be reluctant is because of some of the misinformation that goes out there from different persons on social media. We have perhaps even the official media sometimes sensationalize some storms that are not coming. So persons may feel overwhelmed, or they may feel they become complacent because of, okay, we heard something was out there, it did not come, it was coming our way. So what I want to say here is that when the service says it's coming here, it's because we have information, we are looking at the official forecast that this thing is coming to us. And therefore we need to get that information and let persons know that not everything that we hear out there on social media is the real news. And then I must plug in here that my attention was drawn to a particular WhatsApp group. I won't call any names, but they're sharing information that comes from the Met Service, official information. We are actually not discouraging that. We like that they share our information, but what I want to make public know is that that WhatsApp group is not from the Met Service, because we have had persons calling us and telling us, well, this is your group, but we don't have an official WhatsApp group, so I need to make that public out there right now, and we're going to be also broadcasting that on our audio forecast, that the Met Service does not have an official WhatsApp group, right? But if they're sharing the official forecast, then kudos to them. We are okay with that, because we like official information to get out there to the public.
Certainly.
In regards to your specific question, I think I addressed it a bit earlier, but yes, indeed, indications are that climate change are and will affect how storms intensify and how intense they get. So that factor of rapid intensification and storms blowing up to category 5 and so on within a few, maybe 24 hours or less, that will continue, because as most persons know, these storms derive their energy from the warm waters of the oceans. So if our oceans are warming up due to climate change, then we can expect that these storms, the intensity of these storms will increase. However, the science is not showing any indication that climate change will impact the frequency of storms. So the amount of storms that do form in any season may not increase or decrease due to climate change. However, as I mentioned, the intensity of these storms may change due to climate change.
Now, when you talk about the entire season itself, I know in previous conversations we've talked that there are times of the year that we are particularly at risk. That adds in a level of perhaps added vigilance that we should have around that time. Has that changed? While we're talking about increase in what is normal for the average number of storms, has the predictability in what areas become more active at certain times of the year, has that changed? Ronald?
No, we have not seen any significant change. Sorry, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we have not seen any particular change in different areas that become active at different time of the year. The pattern still remains that during the early part of the season, the active area is the Western Caribbean Sea, our area, and also towards the end of the season, September, October, and that type of the year is the time that this part of the season, this part of the Atlantic Basin becomes more active. And then in the middle of the season, around August, we have the Cape Verde season, as we call it, where the storms that come off the coast of Africa intensify and become stronger. Yeah. So there has been no particular shift, as far as I know, where the different parts of the basins become more active at different times of the year now.
All right. Now, what's our message to Belizeans? You know, we have faced tropical depressions or just tropical waves that have caused very damaging floods. Eta and Iota from last year really did a number on us as well. What do we say to people as we close off this month of May and move into the hurricane season? Let's start with you, Ronald.
Yes, certainly. Very important point that you brought up in terms of you do not have to have a tropical depression even to have tremendous amount of rains. Right. So you could have a strong tropical wave, as you mentioned, that creates a lot of rains and flooding. And one of the, as the colonel mentioned earlier, one of the major threats or the major cause of fatalities from tropical systems is from flooding. So it is important that persons continue to monitor the official information coming from the Met Service. We always issue alerts regarding flooding based on the rainfall predicted. So we do that because we know that the general public depend on us for that information. So it is very important that you monitor, even if it's not a tropical storm, any information that comes out from the Met Service and NEMA in regards to the potential for heavy rainfall, and that could result in flooding throughout the season. Also, another point that probably is not directly related to your question that I want to bring up, that I have been bringing up recently, is that the forecast for these systems in terms of their track has improved significantly over the years. So we do know that whatever systems comes into the Northwest Caribbean Sea, we monitor them very carefully, even if the forecast is for it to go to Cuba or to go to the northern Yucatan Peninsula. Yes. However, not all systems that do enter into our area will track towards Belize. So it's important, again, back to the point that I mentioned, that we don't want to overwarn the public. We know that there's misinformation out there. There's always this level of panic that arises when systems are near us. But the forecast has improved significantly, so we will be monitoring. And once we see those models clustered towards this country, we will definitely raise the alarm level and to NEMO and let people be aware that the system is heading our way.
All right. Colonel DeFore? Is he still with us?
Yes, picking off from where the chief, sorry about that, where the chief left off, is to be prepared for any eventuality. People tend to want to be worried about the category sometimes, which we all have a right to, but it's what the elements of that system is about. Rainfall, you know, speed of movement, and things like that, area of impact. And so we need to focus on those things, because just rainfall, as you mentioned, could be a major threat to us. So if you live in a particular area and there's a heavy downpour during the day, in the evening, and you know you will flood out from experience, you know, during the night, don't wait until 10 o'clock at night to say, NEMO, please come and get us. You know, take precaution and move to safety, to a friend or family, or call the NEMO coordinator, or call 936, which is the NEMO emergency number, to say, you know, we will need to go into a shelter this evening because we think it is safer to be in that shelter than to be in our homes. Yeah. So we want people to take on that type of mindset and to be part of the system by being proactive. The Media management issue is a very big one in terms of some media hosts sensitizing this scenario of a particular threat, saying, well, this is coming because America has the Gulf of Mexico, or the report is saying the Yucatan Peninsula is the likely area, and things like that. And so we are saying, please listen to the Met Office, please listen to NEMO, use our advisories, don't use the American media information because it will create hype and panic and frighten people because they are looking at a worst case scenario for them. The Chief Met has the most accurate information for any system approaching the lead. So listen to the Chief Met, listen to NEMO, and we will continue to be on watch, monitoring, tracking system, providing the information as required. Have your plan, whether it's a business continuity plan, whether you want to call it a checklist, you want to call it standard procedures, but have something that guide your actions when there's a threat to the lease. You must have something, because it cannot be that, we can scramble and run about now and try to get to safety. That will not work. So just sit down on a Sunday and discuss what is it we need to do. In the workplace, the leadership should have meetings with their staff saying, where is the plan? Where is our guide or checklist? What will we do when NEMO activates? When NEMO say, be prepared, there's a threat likely to develop to perhaps a tropical storm on Sunday, today being Thursday. What are we going to do? What do we have in place, Yes. So we should be going through those motions at this point in time. And the last point is, in terms of some of the things we discussed, I think I may have heard price gouging and a few other things. We are legislating for this hurricane season, things about the media, things about false reporting, things related to price gouging, employers not wanting to release their staff to go home and things like that. Those sort of kind of issues will hopefully reduce during this hurricane season and years to come, because we're going to address these things in a legal manner.
All right. Well, we appreciate you giving us the update before we move into the official hurricane season for 2021. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and we appreciate the update.
You're welcome.
Yeah, sure.
The host.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, the resumption of consular services at U.S. Embassy. We'll get the details about what you can expect, how you can apply, how long the wait's going to be. That's coming up.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky, and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime, while with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
With the touch of a finger, we can easily unlock our phones and securely gain access to our data. This technology is called biometrics, and the Social Security Board is introducing fingerprint recognition to make transactions and handling of your sensitive data secure, fast, accurate, and convenient. Is your identity safe? Fingerprint recognition will keep your social security record secure and confidential while making your access fast and easy. It protects your identity. Is your name a common one? Fingerprint recognition uses your unique characteristics, ensuring your hard-earned benefits go directly to you, the rightful owner. Tired of all the paperwork? Fingerprinting makes this hassle-free. Your convenience and your information security is our priority. Fingerprint recognition coming soon. Social Security at your fingertips.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Andrea Polanco, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 police teams do whatever it takes. Go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 believes on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
And welcome back. We move into the second part of our discussion this morning with Consular Chief from the U.S. Embassy of Belize, Mr. Wilbur Zier. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be on with you today, and yeah, very excited.
Yeah.
We're definitely intrigued to hear about the services that will be reinitiated considering the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and how it's been slowed down. Talk to us about some of the services that will be reopening at the U.S. Embassy.
Okay, so yes, we, as everybody knows, at the start of the COVID pandemic last year in March, we closed down most of our visa services and even some of our services to American citizens. And they've been opening up throughout the past year, but we are so excited to announce that beginning June 2nd, Wednesday, June 2nd, we will be opening up our regular non-immigrant visa appointment schedule. And so we'll be bringing people in for regular non-immigrant visas. I know people have been asking about that, and we're very excited to announce that that's coming.
Yes. Now, that's an interesting development. I know people were able to start their application online for the past few weeks. Talk to us about just how big your backlog is at this point.
Yeah, so actually throughout the year here in Belize, we have been doing emergency non-immigrant visas.
Yeah.
And then also we have interview waivers. And so we have been doing some throughout the year. That's helped release a little bit of the backlog. But right now, of course, anybody can go online and apply for a visa and get an appointment to come in for an interview. The backlog right now, probably the next available appointment will be sometime at the beginning of August. So it's a couple of months, and we just are looking forward to and asking for patience from people as we work through that backlog and get in as many people as we safely can. Our number one priority, of course, is the safety of our staff and the safety of our customers, of our visa applicants, and so as safely as we can bring in as many as possible, we will.
Now, the visa application for many people, you know, it's a very fraughtful experience because people don't always know what to expect. What can you clarify for us today about understanding eligibility and preparation?
Right. In fact, as an aside, one thing I do with all of my new officers is make them go through the process of applying for a visa, so we can kind of understand that it's sometimes a little bit opaque, right?
Yes.
So for anybody, first of all, to apply for a U.S. visa, you need to start at our embassy website.
Yes.
So search for U.S. Embassy Belmopan, go on there to our visa page, and it gives you all of the directions, all of the instructions to apply for a visa. We also want people to know if you have any questions or any questions about your application, please contact us at consulbelize@state.gov. Like I said, all the information is there on our website, but you can contact us at consulbelize@state.gov. CONSUL Belize at state.gov.
Okay. So that's talking about understanding the eligibility.
Yeah.
Now, there's also, once someone has gone through the process, they are granted an interview, especially if it's a first-time applicant, and they come with a mountain of paper and documents, and there may just be one that they don't have that's asked for. How do you know what you need to present?
Yeah, every interview is different, obviously.
Yeah.
One thing that I would say about that is for people to know, we want to interview the people, right? So you should come and be ready to answer any questions that would affect your application. But yeah, everybody wishes that there was just a checklist, right? Of
Yes.
bring this and you get the visa, don't bring it and you don't get the visa, but there is no such thing. And so we take our time with each applicant. We do our best to interview them fully and completely, and our officers make good decisions.
All right.
For those people who submitted their visa applications prior to the pause of services, what must they do now?
We have contacted all the people who had visa appointments canceled, and there were different times throughout the year we were hoping to restart, and people were able to get appointments. Anybody who had a canceled appointment has been contacted. The vast majority of them have already rescheduled. But if there's anybody out there that is wondering, had an appointment and have not rescheduled, please contact us at consulbelize@state.gov, and we'll assist them with getting their appointment. One thing is that some people were concerned about is the machine readable visa fee, the MRV visa fee that you pay to apply for a visa. Those are usually valid for 1 year, but the State Department has extended the validity of all of those visa fees through September of 2022. So don't worry about your visa fee. If it was around a year ago that you lost your appointment, just apply again. That visa fee is still good, and we can bring you in for interview.
So there are two options, as you spoke of very clearly. There is an interview with a consular officer to be able to determine whether or not you get your visa. And there's also the option for an interview waiver. Tell us who's eligible for the interview waiver.
Okay, so the interview waiver process allows people to apply without possibly needing an interview, right?
Possibly.
So to apply for interview waiver, it's somebody who has had a previous visa, an adult, a full validity visa, and it's still either valid or has expired within the last 48 months. That has been extended. Previously, it was either 12 months or 24 months, but right now, because of COVID, if you have a visa that has expired within the last 48 months, you can go online and apply, and it should prompt you just to send it in to us or drop it off with us there. And then, of course, as you see on your screen, visas are waived, interviews are waived, usually for children under the age of 14 or adults over the age of 80. They can usually come in without interview as well.
And for the rest of us, it's not necessarily an automatic process.
That's correct. It's not an automatic process. We'll take a look at your previous application, at your previous visa, and for the vast majority of those, we're able to issue without calling those people in for interview. And as I've said, we've been able to do quite a few of those through the past months, and it's helping to keep our backlog manageable. So.
Yeah.
In terms of students who are applying right now to go abroad, considering the backlog of the services at this present moment, are they being considered to sort of speed up the process of getting their I-20 visa to be able to go abroad and study?
Yeah, so student visas are actually one of the visa classes that we have been doing regular interviews for many months now. And so we have had Belizean students coming in for quite a few months, and we've been doing those interviews and helping those students get to the schools in the U.S. Again, if there's any student out there and is just applying now and just getting their I-20 together and all of that, they can go online, follow the instructions, and arrange for a visa interview. And as I've said before, if they have any questions, consulbelize@state.gov.
Yeah. Now, how long does it take to find out whether or not you have been approved?
I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunately, but at the window when you apply and have your interview, we let applicants know right at that moment if they're approved or denied. So yeah, it happens immediately. So there's no waiting. That's a good thing, but not always fun news to hear if you don't qualify for the visa.
And for those who have been granted the waiver?
Interview waiver, so they would send us their passport, either drop it off here at the embassy in Belmopan, we're on Floral Park Road, or you can send it to us through one of the courier companies or through the mail. Then I guess they would know, we would contact them if we need them to come in for interview, or they would receive their passport in the mail with their new visa, or would be ready for pickup. Yep, we contact them afterwards. Our processing time is usually within a couple of weeks. So we try to get through them as quickly as possible, and processing time is usually within 2 weeks.
Yeah. What are some of the eligibility requirements when applying for visas, whether it's the tourist visa or the I-20 visa?
Yeah, so the eligibility requirement to apply is anybody who wishes can apply. You just have to go online to our website and follow the instructions and you can apply. I think what you're asking is the eligibility requirements to receive the visa, actually.
Right.
And so there's information on travel.state.gov about the requirements. It's there. The main one that we're looking at is, does the traveler have immigrant intent? Do they have a reason they're not telling us why they really want to go? And unfortunately, not just in Belize, but around the world, there are many people who are just looking to get a visa to go to the United States for other purposes than what they're stating or what they're saying they're going for. So,
how often is it that people are applying for the wrong type of visa?
That's a very good question. We do see that some people will apply in the wrong visa class. The major one, of course, is the B1, B2 visa, what we call our tourist business visa. You can go for business purposes, you can go for tourism. But there are students and there are different exchange programs and things like that. If you have any questions, we can work with you. If people apply for the wrong visa class, we can help them at the window, make sure that they've got the correct visa class. And again, if you have any questions, just reach out to us at consulbelize@state.gov.
I appreciate that you said anyone can apply. Very often people may have had some sort of challenge, whether in the US or even locally, and they automatically assume that they would be excluded from receiving a visa. What's your advice to them?
My advice is that anybody who believes that they are qualified to receive a visa can apply. I guess even if you think you don't qualify, you can apply, right? Anyone is free to apply for the visa. The main thing we tell people is at the interview, just be ready to answer questions and be ready to tell the truth.
Yes.
I guess like anything in life, we're going to get much further if we're there telling the truth. And so,
especially on your form.
The best advice I can give in life as well as in visa interviews, I guess.
Especially in your application form.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Now, looking at the reopening for interview process especially, what are some of the protocols you put in place to ensure safety?
Yeah, that's wonderful. The safety of our staff, the safety of our customers, our visa applicants is really our number one priority. And the more we can do to keep ourselves safe it's going to dictate the more we can do as far as numbers of interviews and keep this going, right? We don't want to have to step back and close again. And so we have put into place, we've got wash stations outside, we have sanitation stations inside. We've set up our waiting room and our outside waiting room to allow for social distancing. We're requiring all visa applicants and anyone who comes in to use our service to wear a mask, to have a mask on. And the other thing that we're requesting, if you have a visa interview and your day is coming up for interview and maybe you've waited a long time to get this interview and you're not feeling well that day, if you've got the sniffles or you're not feeling well, we would request that you do not come in to the embassy and contact us at the email address that I've been giving, consulbelize@state.gov. We'll work with you to get another interview date. But, you know, I think all of us here in Belize, I think, have done a great job following the government of Belize protocols and the requirements that they've given out. And we here at the embassy, we want to follow that as well. And we just ask everyone to be patient with each other. Let's work with each other to get through this as best we can. And whatever we can do to keep each other safe is going to dictate us allowing to offer more services.
Do you need to be vaccinated to apply?
You do not need to be vaccinated to apply. You do not need to have a COVID test to apply. Yeah, anyone is welcome to come and apply. And as we said before, just honor the social distancing requirements and things like that, the sanitation requirements. So.
I want to follow up and dive a little bit into the state of affairs where we're at right now in terms of Belize and the strike action that is happening. What has the advisory been to American citizens who are traveling our country?
So the travel advisory right now is found on our website, and is also found on the website of travel.state.gov, and it gives information for every country in the world. And the travel advisory right now for Belize is at level 2, which is historically where it's been for the longest time. The major decisions of that travel advisory is not something that we decide here at Post. It's decided out of Washington. Many factors go into that. And if there's ever any change in the travel advisory, we let the public know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is the trigger for the suspension of services? Do you imagine that if we do see a spike in cases that there may be a pause again?
It's always a possibility. The triggers would be, as I said before, kind of the safety of our staff and the safety of our customers, and following all Government of Belize protocols and suggestions that the government puts out. Like I said, we've done very well here for a long time, and we're excited to reopen on June 2nd. On Wednesday, June 2nd, we'll be offering in-person interviews for regular non-immigrant visa appointments, and we hope to keep that up for a long time.
Of course, the consular services also provide services to U.S. citizens. Talk to us about the status of those services.
Yeah, so it's our #1 priority is the safety and protection of American citizens overseas. And we have been offering our full array of American citizen services for quite a few months now. If there are any American citizens out there listening, I know there's many, they can reach us by email at ACS, that stands for American Citizen Services. So ACS Belize at state.gov. And they can reach us there by email. They can go to our website and make appointments for all sorts of services.
All right. So June 2nd is the day where you open up for interview appointments. But that doesn't mean people have to wait to apply, right?
That's correct. In fact, because you can tell others have applied, because our next available appointment is now pushing to the end of July, beginning of August, right? But yeah, so you can go online right now today if you're interested, if you believe that you have a reason to travel to the United States. Go to our website, follow the instructions for visa, and you can apply on there.
Yeah. When it comes to the application form, what's your advice to people about using third-party services to help them fill it out?
Yeah, there are many websites out there, as you said, third-party services. They are available. I think most people can do the form on their own. And I know that many of those services and third-party websites charge money as well. They're charging you for something that you can do for free on our website. And as I said, we have a wonderful staff in our consular section. They're hardworking, they're very knowledgeable, they know their stuff, and they're available to answer your questions at consulbelize@state.gov. And I think that's the best way to do it. Go to our website, go to the official website and do it, and not go through a third-party vendor.
Yeah, and then you can always email with questions if you get stuck at some part of the form, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. What's the current cost for the visa application?
So every visa category is a little bit different, but the majority of them, the majority of applicants we see here in Belize are the tourist visas and the student visas. And the current cost, the application fee for those is $160 US dollars.
160 US.
And those are done in the bank itself?
Yeah, that's something that you need to go to the bank. I'm so used to telling people to go to Scotiabank. I believe now that is Belize Bank, correct?
Yes, that's right. And that has to be in person, or that's also transitioned to an online process?
As I said before, we have wonderful staff who are very knowledgeable and know all these things. Truthfully, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if you can pay online or have to show up in person at the bank.
Yeah.
But I know in the instructions the information will be there.
Yeah. And Wilbur, just your final advice to people. If they urgently need a visa for whatever reason, how do you go about getting it as an emergency service if your first point of contact is with the online form?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's what we've been dealing with through the past months. So when you go onto the form, you'll fill out the application, you have to pay a fee, and then it'll send you to the website to set an appointment date for yourself, and you choose what day and what time you want to come. As I said before, for the tourist visas, that day is now out towards July, August. If you've got urgent travel, there's an emergency situation, there is a way in that form, there's a button to request an expedite appointment. Okay. And when you request an expedite appointment, it will ask to give some details, and you can give us what the reason is. And we have staff that look at that and will make a decision whether to give you an expedite appointment or not. I would caution and say that pretty much everybody who travels feels like their travel is an emergency or is an expedite or is very, very important. And we know that everyone's travel is very important. Unfortunately, we're not able to approve every one of those expedite requests. And so, we ask you to give us as much information as possible, and we do our best to get people in that have urgent expedited travel.
So it's not a valid reason for me to say my vacation is scheduled for next week and I want to travel?
It depends. If your vacation is scheduled to my area of upstate New York, you're probably going to get that, right? No, I shouldn't say that, because now everybody's going to say they're going to upstate New York. But that's right. Regular vacation travel probably is not an expedite. It's more for, urgent medical travel or a death in the family, something along those lines.
Good to know.
In terms of the U.S.'s policy for the entrance into the United States of America, is there any request for visitors to be vaccinated?
So, interestingly enough, I know Belize has said that people coming into Belize can show a vaccination certificate in lieu of taking a COVID test. In the U.S. right now, that is not the case. So entry requirements in the U.S., you have to have a recent negative COVID-19 test. And all of that information is on our website and on travel.state.gov.
Nice. And of course, the ultimate decision for entry into the United States takes place at your entry of the United States.
That is so true, and I love that you bring that up. Even just having a visa does not mean you get to enter the United States. It means you get to get on an airplane, present yourself at the port of entry, and they make the final decision right there whether you get to come in or not. Of course, most people having that visa, it's pretty standard to just go right into the U.S. after a short interview. But the final decision is made at the port of entry.
All right. Anything else you want to share with us? Tips, advice?
Just to reiterate, look at our website, reach out to us at consulbelize@state.gov. If you're an American citizen, ACS Belize at state.gov. And just kind of what I hit on before, Belize has done so well because all of us have been doing our part to keep the country safe. And so let's continue doing that. Let's continue to offer each other a little bit of grace and patience. And we're excited to be opening up our visa services on June 2nd. Yeah. And for the near future, we want to see that continue. And hopefully we can get through our backlog and get back to where we were before, where it was very easy for Belizeans to come in and apply for a visa. Thank you very much for having me, and excited and looking forward to seeing many visa applicants in the next few months.
All right. Well, thank you to Wilbur. Stay safe.
Thank you so much.
All right. There you have it.
There you have it.
Interviews resume June 2nd, but you can still apply online, and you can also apply for an interview waiver if you meet the eligibility criteria.
Right, and it's definitely a good feeling to hear that the services are being opened and they're trying to work on that backlog and try to get up to scale to where we want to return back to that sense of normalcy, especially for students who are planning to go abroad to study.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a break now. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about the latest promotions coming out from St. John's Credit Union. So please.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
If we are only as strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us, then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something, the Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. We are stronger together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Es un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos. Y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Andrea Polanco, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes, go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, because news is now everywhere, all the time, and so are we.
And we'll be back in a few, so stay tuned. Thanks, Jen. Hey there, we know you have to head out to work shortly, but don't forget that you can stay tuned by watching us on our Facebook live stream. Find us at Open Your Eyes BC, and you can continue watching there. You can also download Facebook Watch on your streaming device, and you can watch at your own convenience.
And for all the behind-the-scenes fun, follow us on Instagram at OYE Belize. So,
find us
and follow us
today.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
back. We're moving into our third discussion, or final discussion actually, for this morning. And we have with us representatives from the St. John's Credit Union to speak about their new promotions considering the COVID-19 pandemic. We have in with us Marketing and Loans Manager Andrew Mitchell and Credit Control Officer Ashton Nicholas. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you for joining us this morning.
Hi, morning everyone. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Good morning, Marlene. Good morning, Brighton. Thank you for having us this morning.
Okay.
So we want to move into what the promotion is all about at St. John's Credit Union. Please give us the information.
All right. So good morning, everyone. And once again, good morning, our listeners. So let's start. We have some exciting news. So as a credit union, St. John's Credit Union, we try our best to assist our members. As you know that our members are an important part of our credit union. Our members are the driving force for the credit union. Without our members, we would not have a credit union. So our credit union has met and we have come up with different offers and different packages for our members. So one of our biggest campaigns, which will be happening and it launched on June the 1st, is Bounce Back, Get on Track with St. John's Credit Union.
Okay.
So if you have fallen delinquent and you want to catch up on your payments, this is the time for you to get with this campaign. And in this campaign, there's 2 ways which you can qualify. So you can get 10 to 50% off interest and fees. One, when you pay your arrears in full and make suitable payments or arrangements. So remember, you get 10 to 50% off interest and fees. And those are the 2 ways which you'll be able to qualify for this campaign that we're doing.
Wow.
Once you enter into the campaign, you get your chance to enter into a raffle. We won't tell you what that will be, but you have a raffle that you enter in and you're able to win prizes and surprises. Because it's all about prizes and surprises.
The raffle is going to be a basketball.
Not necessarily just a basketball. Their range of products I know Mr. Nicholas's department, they are trying to give back, but they will vary the prices month by month.
Okay.
With the addition to another program that I'll touch on a little bit shortly.
Okay. Let's go back to the bounce back. So you said the possibility is for 10 to 50% off. What's the difference in meeting the criteria? Everybody wants that 50% off. So talk to us about how that is decided.
Right.
Okay, so the 10 to 50%, it's decided in a category. So whatever category you fall in, that with the restrictions that we have, that's why you have to come in. You meet with our officers, which is myself, and we have other officers of the credit union. We review your account, we'll look at your case, and then you tell, okay, then you're qualified for 10%, you're qualified for 15%, or you're qualified for 50%. So it all depends on whichever bracket you fall into. But take advantage of the offer. Don't be afraid, it's okay, I might get 2% of it. Whatever percentage you receive, it benefits you to get back on track. You know, that's our main goal as a credit union, for you to get back on track. So you can bounce back.
Is it looking at things like how severely I've been affected by COVID, or the size of what I have outstanding? How much are these factors in that decision?
We look at that's one thing that we look at. We look at the size of loan you have outstanding with the credit union. How you have been affected due to COVID, and that's why Mr. Mitchell will touch more on a package for COVID as well, no?
Yeah.
But those are the main things that we look at, because we know it is difficult time. So we have met and we have decided, okay, let's give back to our members throughout the years that they have been with us now.
Ashton, you know more than anyone just the challenges people are facing financially out there. Tell us a bit about the thought process that went into this particular campaign and why you think the members will benefit from it.
The thought process for this campaign is we have met, we have come together with different ideas, and we do understand the struggles that everyone is going through. Prior to COVID, they have been struggling. So as a department, we decided that, okay then, so now this is the time we have seen that delinquency has been growing. Let's see how we can capture it and how we can find a solution to the problem, because for every problem there is a solution. So this is one solution that we're offering to our members, and we're asking them, come out, come in, meet with us, reach out, and let us sit and let us discuss how you can get back on track, with the credit union. You're members and you're the driving force of the credit union. So it's a thought process, and we want to thank our team behind, the campaign. So we're trying now.
Yes.
Many families.
Hey, Marlene, if you don't mind me adding to that, whilst I know the discussion is not only to help those people who have been affected by COVID, but we've also looked at persons before COVID who might have been in arrears or have had delinquency for whatever. May range outside of the COVID pandemic from 2020. We've got some members who were having hardships in 2019 and prior, and we're trying to encourage those persons. We appreciate and we want to thank all our members who made the effort to make payment arrangements with us over the last few months, despite the pandemic and its effects on our various households. But we're encouraging our membership to please take advantage of this program. The credit union is here for you as an institution and a family-oriented institution. We always believe in members are our driving force, but at the same time, without the members contacting us, it makes our ability to understand your financial obligations a little bit more challenging. And what Mr. Nicholas and our recoveries team are trying to do is consider that, listen, we know we've had issues on your payments. We want to work with you. We want you to come in. We want you to engage us and help us help you actually get back on track with your facility and payments.
Andrew, I'm glad you brought up that point, because a lot of families have been facing a hard time being able to pay back their loans, even prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. What is this offer available to all loan types and loan sizes?
Right, so the Bounce Back campaign is specific to all our members who have loan facilities with the credit union. They're ultimately trying to get, if you've been delinquent in the past, as he mentioned, 30 to 89 days. There are different ranges in which your discount packages will be labeled for you. But we're also looking to offer persons who have actually been delinquent for more than a year a bit of a discount to encourage them and stimulate them to say, hey, you know what? I've been late in payments. The credit union is looking out for my best interest. They recognize that it's hard for me to pay whatever has accrued or is outstanding, and they're working with me to get that payment down. And so this is open to persons who have been delinquent or are in arrears. We try to distinguish for members, you may be in arrears in a short term, you may be delinquent for having been outstanding for years or months. And so we're doing that education campaign alongside the Bounce Back, so as members can understand their financial responsibility in making sure they make good on their payments to the credit union.
Yeah. Now let's talk about some of your efforts to assist with the public servants and teachers who are going to be getting a salary cut.
Right. One of the additional complements to the Bounce Back campaign, and this is our added forbearance measures, which, as you are aware, the government, through its efforts of the central bank, have basically lobbied for institutions to work with their members, and in our case, membership, and their customers to help them be able to get through this pandemic situation. Our board of directors, and we are very much grateful to our board for the various programs that will be rolled out under the extension of the forbearance measures St. John's offers. So key to St. John's is that whilst we are offering forbearance, and for persons to understand, whilst we're offering options for persons to be able to better their payment options with the credit union, it is not only for public officers and teachers, but we make this available to persons and all members who've actually been affected with our job loss, income reduction, or their spouse or contributing family member has experienced some level of either of those two. We offer these forbearance measures to your household as long as you're a member with the credit union. Notably, we are guided by what the regulators require of us. We cannot just apply the forbearance to persons who have been delinquent for perhaps maybe a year, 2 years, but that is where the bounce back complements the forbearance measures. Now, you can seek to defer principal payments on your facilities with the credit union up to December 2021. You may seek to pay just the interest on that particular facility. However, we have to stress to our membership, whichever of the forbearance measures that are extended to you, please bear in mind the interest does not stop. Your interest will continue to accrue, and in recognizing how much the interest differs, you want to make sure that we also offer you the option to actually restructure the loan. You can look to capitalize the interest that may have been accrued on your loan after that forbearance period. You can come in. Teachers and public officers are now being encouraged to visit or contact our nearest office, visit us through our Facebook page, reach out to us, because we've opened our lending policy because members might have recently gotten loans in mid to late 2020, and with the expected salary cuts, we've opened the policy to allow those very persons who might have multiple loans to seek to amalgamate their loans into one paying facility so as to get a reduced commitment on the part of the institution. No? And we're also encouraging, if you have external loans, let's look at what you can bundle with those loans as well.
It's a very scary time, I think, not just for those who are facing a cut, but those who perhaps are simply struggling. And I know you have some very proactive customers who do come in and they try to figure out what to do, while some just in the overwhelming situation choose to just become delinquent. What do you say to them about openly accessing the credit union to discuss the challenges that they're having financially?
Right, very good question. And I know one of the things that our members appreciate every time around this time is the returns that credit unions are able to pay to its membership. And we want to remind our members, for us to pay you a return, we need you to make good in your obligations to us. And whilst we understand your hardships, we're working as diligently as we can with all our members, all our loan clients, because ultimately the loans we have are savers funds in our credit union, and we are trying our best to make sure that we can give you a return. And we are imploring you to please reach out to the credit union. If it is a case that you promise to make a payment of $300 and you can't meet that payment, you visit us and let us know how you can meet an obligation to settle your facility with the credit union, because by paying us helps us to give you back at the end of the day.
Yeah. What are some of the conditions that are being applied in certain circumstantial cases?
We're looking at, like I said, we're looking at persons, primarily we want to reduce your debt obligations, your payments monthly. So we would encourage you, if for instance, prior to COVID, you have 2 loans with St. John's, maybe you have a vehicle loan, you have an educational loan for your children, but maybe at some point refinancing on our lending rules did not allow you, so you may have taken out a soft obligation with perhaps another institution. We want to encourage you to come in and look to consolidate, because in consolidating, it reduces your monthly payment. Like I said, our board has opened the lending policy to allow persons who would have been restricted borrowing to actually come in and seek out that level of forbearance to amalgamate. And so we're really trying to press the restructuring of monthly payments so as to make your payments more affordable for the members. Our board also set aside an additional $1 million for public servants, medical personnel, security services, to basically offer them a facility which would reward them with an interest rate at 8%, wherein they can afford that particular loan separate from any other facility they already have with us, and essentially help them get some extra cash in pocket to help them prepare either for back to school or help them meet accrued bills that might have happened because of helping out family members during the last several months of the pandemic.
Ashton, what is your message to members of the St. John's Credit Union to come in and take up the opportunity that's at hand?
Well, my message to our members is to take advantage. Like I stated before in our opening, as a credit union, we do understand. And like Mr. Mitchell states, that we don't know your situation unless you come in and sit with us and meet with us. So we advise our members to take up opportunity of the both offers that we're offering, the Bounce Back campaign, which are geared to our delinquent members. take opportunity of the percentage that we're offering. So our members who have been affected by COVID come in, meet with the loan officers, meet with us, let us know how we can assist you, how we can help you, because our members is our first priority at all the time. So we're encouraging our members to come in, set appointments, meet with us. If you know someone, because sometimes they don't want to come in and say, well, I'm not going in, I don't know what happened. But if you know someone that is in this situation, you can reach out to us. You can call us and say, okay, this is the number how you can reach a person. We will facilitate you in order for you to get back on track with us. As like I stated before, and I will always say this, our members are important. You're the driving force for the credit union, and we need you. We need to understand what you're going through in order for us to assist you and to give you the offers that we have presently for the credit union.
And lastly, how long will the Bounce Back campaign be ongoing?
Okay, so our Bounce Back campaign, it starts June 1st. So in a couple of days, we go full force. It starts June 1st and it ends in September. So it runs from June to September. So you have between that time period to come in and to take advantage of the campaign. Once again, remember, you get 10 to 50% off interest and fees once you pay your raise in full or you make suitable payment arrangements, and you get to win prizes. I love prizes, so
surprise prizes. Do remember that. All right, and Andrew, any final words?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, and I know Ashton and the Bounce Back campaign are to be doing a raffle to give back to our membership. That is to reward those people who are making good on facilities that might have fallen into hardships. We are also encouraging our good payers. We'd like to reward those people because we did so in the last quarter of 2020, where we were doing raffles. Whenever you make a good payment, you make a deposit to your loan facility, or if you have a scheduled payment which comes through your salary reduction, we do a monthly raffle of $200 cash to a particular member. And essentially our marketing team, I'd like to thank Miss Leslie because she helps a great deal with this. We will be raffling an extra $200 monthly between now and December 2021 to members who continue to meet their payments. And this is not only for members who are paying full payment, but also for those people who take up the forbearance and actually are meeting their interest payments and keeping good on that forbearance measure that was given to them. So we're really working with our membership to make this a collaborative effort between both you as our member owners, but also us as your managing institution for your finances as well.
All right.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this morning and updating us on the promotions happening at St. John's Credit Union.
I appreciate that. If you don't mind, I'd also like to encourage our member owners. We do have an ongoing residential mortgage program as low as 6%. If you're trying to buy a land, build a house, we're encouraging you to visit us as well and help us help you own that a home of your dream as well.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. And with that, we're at the end of our discussions for today. We wrap up, we take a break, and we come back and we do our wrap up. So stay with us.
2020 taught us the importance of being connected to the virtual world, and NextGen is here to keep its commitment to you. Even if you're physically apart, NextGen keeps you digitally connected.
Okay, everyone, thank you for following me today.
NextGen provides more than just an internet plan. They provide service plans that support all your online needs. Sign up today and get your NextGen's ultra high-speed internet service. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Hello, Belize. You may not be aware of the new travel requirements set in place by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Passengers traveling to the U.S. must present a negative COVID test or a documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 to travel to the U.S. In light of this, Maya, in partnership with Caring Hands Clinic, have established testing centers in all their municipal airports. Caring Hands Antigen Test Center is operational in San Pedro, Belize City, Dangriga, Placencia, and Hopkins. These testing facilities are staffed by licensed healthcare professionals, including doctors, registered nurses, and nurse practitioners. Testing is done using Abbott Rapid Test devices that are FDA approved and made in the USA. The service is safe, fast, affordable, and the close proximity of the centers makes them convenient. Walk-ins are welcomed, but appointments are encouraged. If you would like to make an appointment, please feel free to do so at Make your appointment, get tested, and in 15 minutes, you can get back to your vacation.
We're back.
And we have come to the end of our show for today. It was definitely one that was filled with a lot of information for us to take advantage and opportunity of.
That is absolutely right. Starting off with the very important reminder. In next week, Tuesday, we officially kickstart the Atlantic hurricane season. And this morning we had the National NEMA coordinator as well as the chief met to remind us, one, what the predictions are for this season above normal, but secondly, that the threat of just one storm, one depression, one wave, or one actual hurricane can have devastating effects on us in different parts of the country. So the most important message today is be prepared in whatever way possible. Start getting that emergency plan in place, emergency pack in place. As I said, we had a great segment with Red Cross showing us how to pack for 3 days for a family of 3 with just about $60. And it was really, it had everything that you can need for the kids and for the adults as well.
And I can't stress how important it is for you to sit with your families and come up with a hurricane preparedness plan. We never know what the outcome might be when a storm is approaching, so we must be prepared in advance.
That's right. And we also want to thank the U.S. Embassy Consular Services for talking about what people can expect when the appointments reopen, or the schedule for reappointments reopen on June 2nd. Now, if you don't have an appointment already, there is a bit of a wait. Currently, the backlog has the next available appointment all the way to in August. So get online, fill out your application form, and take your chance and see if you are eligible for the visa. Just know that if you're starting the process now, you're a bit behind.
And the cost of the visa is $160 US for student and tourist visa. So for all the students who are planning to go abroad to study, the opportunity is there for you to go back and get your visa to engage in that process.
All right, and we also want to thank the St. John's Credit Union for telling us all about their latest promotions. Do remember that their Bounce Back campaign kicks off on June 1st. But that's all the time we have for today. Remember, if you'd like to get in touch with us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at Open Your Eyes BZ.
And on Instagram at OYEBelize. Remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.